Firstly, I'd like to introduce the sponsors. Blue Chili. Blue Chili is a technology and software development company that creates online web applications and invests the software development in online startups, an investment strategy they call venture technology. Next is Alpha Station. I'd like to welcome Dom to the stage. Alpha Station Communication produces investor communication tools, from IMs to slide decks for emerging companies and startups. You all need these documents when you go to investors. We make sure you're armed correctly when you pitch to angel and VC and corporate investors, and we've successfully helped raise capital since 1998. The next is the Kussowski Brothers, the video guys, specialising in social media content creation and infrastructure, which involves the production of single or a series of marketing and promotional videos. They're the guys there. And of course, Inspire 9, this great co-working space. If you want a great co-working space, you should come here, you should check it out. There's a lot of creative, talented people here. You should, if you got your startup, then why not work here? It's great, it's great.
My name is Nathan Sampulan, and myself and a guy called Adrian Stone are the co-founders of Angelcube. Angelcube is a 13-week program that runs every year. We have applications from all around the world. This year we had around about 180 applications. We interviewed 20 teams and then drilled that down to 7 successful teams who made it into the program this year. We're really excited about the talent that was in the program this year. It was awesome to see all the applications come across from Melbourne and to see the community really come together. We'll have another intake next year. It'd be great to see some more talent out of Melbourne. So if you guys in the room tonight are thinking about a startup or thinking about partnering up with either a business person or a tech person to put together a startup, then we'd love to hear from you. Applications will probably open in about February of 2014. But tonight's all about 2013. So these guys have just been through a 13-week program that finished about 2 weeks ago. The idea of the program is to use our extended network of mentors to help these guys build up their businesses, really test their use cases, and they're sort of striving for what we like to call product market fit. So they're striving to situate a product in the market where their customers understand the value of their products and they realise they've got a product that's worth selling. So all 7 teams have really been raising the bar, itching for that product market fit. At this end of the program, they're ready to grow their company even further. They're ready to hire some staff. They're ready to expand out and grow as a company. So tonight you're going to see some pictures on these guys appealing with their early stage ideas, and they're ready to grow their companies into something much, much bigger. So we're at the tour end of the program right now. These guys have done a Melbourne demo day last week, which was targeted at investors, mentors, and press. We flew up to Sydney at the start of last week to do something similar up there. But tonight is all about the community. So tonight we felt that the value was around exploiting the awesomeness of every one of these startups and helping you guys understand exactly what sort of stuff goes on in Melbourne, in the Melbourne startup scene, and also in Angelcube and in the Lean Startup community. So tonight the structure will be 3.5-minute pitches, followed by, say, 5 minutes of questions from the audience. When you do ask your questions, if I get you to stand up and just use a really loud voice so that hopefully everyone around you and the speaker can hear. We don't have mics for everybody. I'll get Kunal just to come up to the stage now and get mic'd up. So 3.5-minute pitches. One thing you've got to understand is that the audiences that these guys are pitching to is like an investor type audience. So I want you to put your investor hats on, think about the bigger vision that these guys are trying to undertake. Are they trying to bite off something really, really big and juicy? Do they have an exciting idea that would make you want to get on board? That's what we'd love to see tonight. These pitches are about to fly across to the States. So what you're seeing tonight, you're going to see a smaller version of what is going to be unleashed over in San Francisco in the city, in Silicon Valley, and in New York City in just a few weeks' time. So this is kind of these guys' first chance at being able to pitch their big vision to the likes of you all, but eventually it will be investors in Silicon Valley, investors in San Francisco, and the investor scene in New York. So to kick us off tonight, our first startup is called OutTrippin, and this is Kunal.
let's be honest. There have been a lot of travel startups that have come up here and told you that these are all the things that are wrong in the industry. And while most of it's pretty true, you've heard it all before. So I'm going to skip that, and I'm just going to tell you the true story of this travel startup, and you guys can decide if we're like the rest of them or we're not. The three founders are from New Zealand, Portugal, and Dubai. We met in Chile, and we moved to Australia to start this company. In fact, Indy used to be an advertising creative. She quit her job to ride around the world riding her bike. Jean, he used to have, he was a tech lead at 2 previous startups, and he moved from Portugal to Dubai with about 24 hours notice. I started my first travel company in Chile and lived on 4 continents all before I turned 25. We all came together with a simple premise. The best travel recommendations that we ever got came from real people who had been there, done it, and really just got what we were about. And so that's exactly what we decided to build at OutTrippin. It's like 99 Designs for Travel, where experts compete to build your next vacation. In fact, people love the idea so much that we quickly built a community of about 200 travel experts that are pro bloggers and travel writers that can tell you about anything from volcano hiking in Guatemala to romantic getaways in Paris. You get on OutTrippin.com and you tell us where you're going and what you're into, and our experts will pitch you some cool ideas for your next trip. You pick your favorite expert, and they work with you to build out a full-on trip plan with all of the details, like hotel recommendations, tours, insider tips, travel hacks, basically all of the stuff that only a fellow traveler could ever tell you about. And the customers still get to be part of the travel planning process, which they love. But they also get to leave the sifting through crap online to someone else, which they also love. At the end of the day, travel is a huge market. And while the rest of the travel startups are going after adventure travelers, we're going after some high-value, quality, accessible market segments that are literally crying out for help right now. These segments, the honeymooners and the World Cup travelers. Now, we're not a travel inspiration website. We are a travel planning startup, so we charge an upfront contest fee to prove customer intent. So we split this contest fee with our experts, but every customer that we get is actually planning a trip. So when they get that tailored itinerary built for them, the next logical thing, of course, is to book the damn thing. And OutTrippin collects a commission on that via one of our affiliates. Up next, we're working on building a seamless booking engine because that's what our customers want. And we're also closing some white label partnership deals with online and offline travel agencies that want to use our solution for their audiences. We're raising $500,000 to reach our milestones over the next year and become the #1 destination for couples planning honeymoons. We really want to give them the best possible honeymoon experience, from tours and activities right down to the honeymoon suite. The rest, of course, is up to them. Thanks, guys. Before I take any questions, just let me introduce my co-founders really quick. That's Indy over there with the green jeans, if you want to say hi. That's Jean over there with the green bow tie. Also, really quick, if any of you guys are traveling, we have a special prize for you Lean Startuppers. And you can log on to OutTrippin.com and come talk to one of us later, and we'll help you out. I'll take any questions.
Any questions for Kunal?
Yeah.
My name is Ben. I actually run the Mobile Industry Association known as Mobile Monday here. What's the extent by which you've planned out the channel being empowering your particular user base to be able to engage in as simple as possible without spending a lot of time on a phone to share with you their passions, whether it's something to be inspired by or what they're already inspired about?
We're talking about the customers using their cell phones to connect with us. We take phone calls if they want to, but most of the communication happens online. However, we're working on building a mobile app because at the end of the day, these itineraries, they're being used on the ground. And what do you use when you're on the ground, when you're traveling, not your desktop computer, right? You're using your cell phone or your tablet. So we're definitely working on towards that.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yes?
How are you going to distinguish yourself from just a regular travel agent? It looks like you're basically doing the same thing.
Well, first of all, travel agents are dead.
I just asked to repeat your question.
He asked me how are we going to distinguish ourselves from travel agents? Yes. Actually, the reason why we are not worried about that is because travel agents are coming to us because they want to use our network. So we provide a service way better than they can. That's why they want to white label us. I can't be worried about that based on that. Yeah. Yes?
I'm interested to know who are your experts and why should I trust them?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to let Indy answer this one because she's the travel blogger in charge, and you can probably just start.
Yeah, I'll just start really with that. I'm a travel blogger myself, so sorry, who asked the question?
Right there, man.
Hey, so we started off with quite a small network of all the travel bloggers that I knew around the world, and from there we've recruited through places like LinkedIn. We've recruited through online sort of networks like People Per Hour, Elancer. And so we've found quite a big pool of people. And then what we do is we look at their travel blogs, we make sure they have an online footprint that explains what sort of writing and travel experience they have, and we curate those experts. So right now we have, about 189. About 90 to 100 of them are like online engaged, and it's growing. And so word's starting to spread. So we'll soon be going to like a travel blogging conference and recruiting more people. And so what we do is we put a link on every itinerary to that travel blogger's history. So you can go and look at their blog, you can look at what they've done. So you can kind of do a bit of back research as well to kind of make you feel a little more comfortable with who's making the suggestions. And then we also intend to have a reviewing system. So every person who's made an itinerary and it's been successful, you'll be able to read about them. So yeah, hopefully that answers it.
Are you planning to develop your own booking engine?
No, we're working. We're definitely going to be working with affiliates, but what we want to do is make the process a lot more seamless. So let's say you have an itinerary, you have 3 hotels, 4 activities. Right now, a customer could potentially have to bring out their credit card 7 times. That's a pain. So because we're booking through various affiliates, what we want to do is provide a seamless process for all of that, where you can book all of it one time.
It's more like an agent.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, Paul Francesco from Penso. I'm just wondering, how are you planning on getting consumers on board?
So we're using some different distribution channels. First up, we're using Facebook ads. That's been really good for us, actually. Acquiring users at a very low rate over there. We're also using wedding blogs because they have an extremely targeted audience. Since we're only focusing on honeymooners right now, we can use wedding blogs to get access to their target audience. We do giveaways and stuff like that. We are also using CPA networks, so like affiliate networks. We only pay if they actually convert on the first time they come to our website. But if they register and we continue to have conversations with them and eventually convert them, it doesn't cost us anything. We're of course also working on partnership deals with larger offline and online travel agencies to acquire users as well. Yes, the lady.
How are you going to get your customers to trust the recommendations from your experts, knowing that they're not just suggesting things that you get a commission on from?
Well, the thing is that the experts are independent in this. They get paid the exact same, the expert fee. They don't get paid any more if we do the booking or not. So, in fact, the experts, we give them complete leeway to recommend anything and whatever they want. Whether or not we can make money from the booking, we don't stop them from recommending it. Next.
How much revenue are you going to bring in the next 12 months?
Of course you asked that question. We're looking to try to at least get up to 500,000 over the next year. That is, of course, like post-affiliate commissions. Like that does not include the total trip value. Yeah. Yes?
How much work is it for a travel writer to put together an itinerary for $60? Part 1. And 2, is there enough travel writers in the world to support the growth of your company?
Do you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. At the moment, just to participate, it works like 99 Designs for Travel. So it starts off where you just put forward a pitch of what your idea was. So they do that for free. And it's a paragraph, and it links to their bio. So then the customer chooses, and at that point they write about a paragraph for each day of the itinerary. and it works so that $79 for 1 week, $159 for 2 weeks. So the expert gets more depending on the length of the trip. And they're finding that we're getting similar requests. So once they've created the content, sometimes it can just be tweaked for a new customer. So far we're finding that it's either the really passionate people or countries where $62 is actually quite a lot of money that, yeah, most successful in that area.
We haven't really had too much trouble with travel writers saying that, you know, it's not enough. Just to add to that, content is reusable, context is not. What the blogger adds is context. We can get content from anywhere. We can get, if you recommend a hotel, you can get ratings from TripAdvisor. If you recommend a location, you can get content from Wikitravel. The context, you can't reuse that. So that's what the blogger adds, that's what the expert adds more than anything else.
Just got one last question, if you can.
Yeah.
You trying to get out of this market and be the first mover in market. What do you think you will sustain this? You can sustain this model against, you know, all those heavyweights. You have a lot more deep pockets.
Well, the heavyweights want to partner with us because it doesn't make sense for them to build this community themselves. So again, if anything, they'll put forward an acquisition offer to us rather than build it themselves. Secondly, I'll have to point out that these guys that are in our community, they're actually really committed to, I mean, they're passionate people, and once you get them on board, they are our best champions. As long as we can continue building that community, we shouldn't have a problem.
Next up, we've got an interesting team. What happens if you mix geeks with gamers? You get C8 apps. Yes. So now we have Charles and Bell. This is part of your pitch. Charles and Bell.
Well, thanks for coming, everybody. My name's Bao. This is my co-founder, Charles. I'll cover over this way. We're C8 Apps, and we're here to talk to you today about our fantasy sports platform.
So this is not our first rodeo show. We've had some startups before this. We tried to build a Yammer for the Facebook for the workplace, same as Yammer. It failed. We spent 2 years trying to make it. We spent 2 years trying to perfect it. Yammer went to market. They were awesome. We didn't. Big lessons learned: build, ship, listen, iterate. And we're trying to bring that to our new startup. And the other big one is have fun. We're building something today which we love doing. We get up, we love Monday mornings. I hate saying it, but we do. And this is where we are.
So we wanted to focus on our passions, which is sports and technology. We found trends happening overseas in the US. Fantasy sports was just going crazy. About 35 million engage in fantasy sports over in the US, so that's about 10% of the population, and they contribute $5 billion to industry. So we're like, okay, let's get into sports, let's make it fun, let's get into mobile gaming. And we know monetization is easy with mobile gaming. That's through the sale of virtual goods. And if you get that right, such as Clash of the Clans, they're generating $2.4 million per day through the sales of virtual goods, or Candy Crush Saga, who are generating $600,000 per day with virtual goods.
So what did we create? We went away and created a game for fantasy sports. As you guys know, the passion of sports here in Melbourne is AFL. So we created a game for AFL. We threw it out in the market. It's grown to 30,000 users, double the engagement time of Angry Birds, which is there at 10%, we're at 18%. And when we're pumping the marketing, we hit the #1 sports game here in Australia. But,
But that's not our competitive advantage. Our competitive advantage is focusing on this fantasy sports platform that allows us to roll out to any sports in any country in 4 weeks. So we got approached by ACP magazines up in Sydney, so they publish Women's Weekly, Qantas Magazine, or Rugby League Week. And their forms of revenue was dying. They needed to find innovative ways to monetize their readership. So they saw our product as that next level of innovation. So we signed a white label deal with them just last month. And we're just about to launch it and go massive and tie up rugby league in Australia.
But everyone knows AFL and rugby league are a small man's pond. We're going for the big time. We're going to go for soccer. We're hopefully launching our soccer game in about 2 weeks. And the next big market after this will be NFL, and then on to cricket in India.
We're going to throw out a question out to the audience. So which continent do you think is the biggest for soccer? Who do you think?
Europe.
Europe? Research shows Asia is a dominant player in soccer, so we are going hard at the Asian market. 2 billion people are engaged in soccer, 815 million people are engaged in Asia, and you contrast that with Europe, there's only 100 million there.
So how do we make money? Can I just get a quick poll? Who's spent any money on a mobile game ever? $1, $1, $2? Hey, yeah. It's better than investor room, you guys. So basically, you get into the game, you sign up, Bao signs up too, we each get a team. I play Bao, he plays me back, I post on his wall saying, yeah, I beat you. Bao's like, damn. So he goes away, he spends $1, buys some footy boots, some pep tights, makes his team a little better. Comes back at me, I'm like, oh no. So he beat me again, I drop $80 on the game and I come back at him hard. So it's back and forth. That's how we get people spending on the game. We managed to acquire users at 42 cents through Facebook ads, or around about 42 cents. And at the end of the day, on average, they come out at $1.84. So we make almost 3 to 4 times from the user we acquire.
So we started from the bottom, now we're here. So we launched the mobile version in January this year, and now we've grown to 30,000 users, and last month we generated $18,000 worth of revenue.
So how do we stand in terms of competition? Everyone knows how fantasy sports used to work. You sign up, create your team, you wait for the weekend results, and that's how you do against your mates. There's a couple of them who've taken it a bit further. One of the big ones, or the biggest mobile sports game in the world at the moment, is Top 11. They basically are doing at any given time 1 million people. And they basically, you sign up, you create your team, but you still have to wait about 24 hours to play a game. And when you're playing it, it takes about 2 minutes. What we're doing is throwing that model on its head. We're saying you sign up and you play straight away and you play all the time. You play immediately. And then maybe if you play too much, you spend $1, you can play a bit more. So we're taking a model to another level, and that's where we're at now.
So we're C8 Apps. We hope you enjoyed our talk today about our fantasy sports platform. We get a game played every second, so probably in the time of this pitch, we had about 300 games played just right now. Thank you. Questions? Yeah.
I think your user acquisition is quite impressive. Have you had to spend much on marketing your product, or is that growth come through organic?
Yeah, so the question was about our user acquisition model. So we started with advertising our game just through Facebook, simply because it was super targeted. So we're doing pretty well. Then when we went into the Angelcube program, they're like, you guys are on something. Let's throw some serious cash at this and see if your model holds. So we're converting 6% of our users into paid customers, and that model held right through, no matter how much money we threw at marketing.
And it is viral too. So we do have a lot of, with Facebook signing, like the Farmville that annoys everyone's Facebook wall. We're the next ones of those, so get ready.
How do you avoid being classed as a gambling company in China?
Yeah, well, there's actually China's top soccer game right now. If you sign up to it and download it and get past understanding the Chinese characters, about 2 minutes into the game, you're doing what's it called, baccarat style gambling on the game. We're not going to go down that trail to answer your question right now. Gambling we're avoiding. It can be classed as gambling, maybe, but yeah. No, we're just going English Premier League, Spanish, French, German, and Italian.
Having been there, at China Super League.
Really? Yeah, okay, done.
You said your key to your business model is being able to roll out different sports, different countries, but how much is it the same and how much is each roll out customized?
That's the beauty of our platform. So basically, all we need is the nuances of a sport, the statistics for all the players in that sport, and a new design, and it's done.
So there's no cultural...
We do add a culture. Basically, it's database driven. So the way we built it is you throw in the statistics in the database, we calculate events. So every time you press play on our new rugby league game, there's 250,000 events calculated in 0.2 of a second to then create a game and then save to the database and spit out to the app. We calculate tackles, everything. We just need stats, basically.
If you have any more questions, feel free to follow up with these guys afterwards. You'll be able to talk to them and get their details and follow them up directly, sign any checks, whatever it looks like. Yeah, so we just heard from some virtual gamers. Are there any photographers in the room or anyone a bit of a photographer? Oh, this guy. Awesome. Next up we have Josh, who's been working on his photography business for quite some time. But when he came into the Angelcube program, he basically found an opportunity that made it look quite different. So let's hear from Josh from Ozirig.
Thank you for that introduction, Nathan. My name's Joshua Burke, and I'm the founder of Ozirig. And what we've kind of come up with, we found this problem which is really quite painful, and that is that film and camera equipment is really quite expensive for no particular reason. And I'm sure you can tell me exactly, you agree with me. So at Ozirig, what we do is we make kick-ass film gear that our customers love, but at a fraction of the price of everybody else. And this really puts us at the front of a new revolution. Because what everybody seems to have forgotten is the camera revolution has come and gone. And actually, it's really quite simply put, the easiest part of the equation. But everybody forgets about all the other equipment that you need to buy. What about your tripods? What about your audio? What about your support accessories? All of these things have pretty much been left behind. And that's really where Ozirig come in, because we've recognized this and we're basically working to turn the status quo on its head. And the way that we do this is we take pre-existing technology that's out there in the market, we basically use our customer knowledge to completely redesign it from the bottom up. We outsource the manufacturing to a variety of manufacturers across Asia and Europe, and then we deliver directly to customers anywhere in the world at a price that smashes the competition. So take, for example, these two products. For anyone who's not really familiar with it, this is a follow focus unit, and it's basically a product that any filmmaker would use, whether they're doing work just on the weekend or whether they're working on Peter Jackson's latest blockbuster. On the left, we've got the industry-leading standard from Arri at $3,945. And on the right, we've got Ozirig's product. And we've sourced this from a third-party manufacturer and rebranded it. And we're sitting at $915. And the way that we've done this is basically turn the old retail model on top of its head, get rid of distribution and retail completely, and because we've outsourced a lot of the R&D, we've significantly reduced the cost that way. So these two products are essentially functionally the same, but we're talking about a $3,000 difference with no sacrifice on quality. And this has been extremely good for our traction because in the last 12 months, we've done just under $250,000 in sales. We now have more than 250 customers across the world using our products to create feature films, documentaries, and music videos. And the feedback has been amazing. In fact, our handful of Emmy Award-winning videographers and cinematographers have extremely good things to say about Ozirig. And this is the key difference, because we are basically taking this expensive equipment and reproducing it at a fraction of the price, but at a level that professionals are happy to continue to use. And the reason we were able to do this is because we've really quickly separated ourselves from the rest of the pack. Because at the moment, the market is largely separated into the cheap and nasty and the good but expensive. And because we've really set ourselves apart from the pack, we can basically monopolize the extremely lucrative part of high quality but low cost of this industry. So because of this, there's absolutely no reason why we can't scale up our growth and take over the world. And in fact, in the USA alone, equipment sales are talking more than $18 billion a year. So this is a big market. And the way that we really begin to boost Ozirig up is by taking advantage of our customer base. Because these sales that we've done so far have all been on referrals. We haven't done any paid marketing whatsoever. So our customer acquisition can basically be skyrocketed through programs like Kickstarter. And this is going to really allow us to basically come up with products that have a really low overhead to produce and have a customer base waiting to receive it and ready to give up their money. And I mean, we can certainly still achieve these goals by doing what we're currently doing, but something like Kickstarter is really going to be a great way for us to completely rocket and grow extremely quickly and extremely rapidly. So what we're really asking for at the moment is $400,000. I'm a sole founder, so all of this traction, all of this work has really been done by me, largely. I have a great team that I can draw on and bring in, but I'm smart enough to know that there are limits to what I can do as a single person. So this $400,000 is largely going to be in terms of growing the team and really allowing us to scale. So when you think of Ozirig, I want you to think of Kogan++ for all the programmers out there. For anybody who's not, Kogan +1. Because we're not just rebranding other people's equipment. We are completely redesigning from the ground up and creating professional level equipment at an affordable price that absolutely smashes everybody else out there in the market. I really think that this is an industry which is extremely ripe for disruption. And with our customer base, our customer focus, and our unique knowledge of the products, I believe that there's nothing stopping Ozirig from becoming a market juggernaut. I really hope you are all as excited about it as I am, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you after the presentation. Thank you very much. I'd love to take a few questions. Yes?
Who are your top employers?
Good question. Probably one of the guys that we need to bring on from the team. So fortunately, a lot of these products that we're sourcing are significantly different enough that they're not infringing on a lot of patents. But obviously, whenever you're rebranding other people's products, it's always an issue that's going to come up. Yes?
We're hearing about the revolution of the GoPros and the mini cameras. Do you have plans and a product roadmap that's several years out, thinking about how you can incorporate even attaching those in helicopters and all of the various ways that are still yet to play out in the daily life, but obviously GoPros are probably in a good proportion of
Absolutely. Yeah, so GoPro, the question was basically about consumerification and the long-term strategy for that. So GoPro have done an amazing job with that. There's no doubt about it. They've turned that into a multi-billion-dollar company at the moment. Because we're talking about accessories, there's absolutely no reason that we can't make gear that goes along with that. So Ozirig can not just be, we're not going to be selling cameras, but we can sell all the accessories that people pick up with their GoPro. Some of the equipment that we're working on at the moment is for helicopters. We've got some stabilizer kit out there as well. And yeah, absolutely, things like GoPro, Blackmagic, all those things that are really picking up from a consumer side of things, we really want to drive forward with products that address those as well. And that's really the difference, because really consumers are going to be driving this over the next few years. Equipment is becoming cheaper. But until this happens on a larger scale and all the equipment becomes affordable, it's not really going to pick up.
What's
What's
the return rate so far?
Return rate of equipment? Extremely good. Out of about 300 orders, we've had approximately 3. So it's a very low return rate, and the way that we do that is because all the equipment that comes through, everything that we rebrand, it's tested beforehand. So we give it out to our consumers, we test it ourselves in-house, and anything that's not really up to par to a professional level just gets chucked out. So there's no real quality issues. Mostly returns are related to, well, the 3 returns that we've had so far have basically been down to unsuitability for that particular user. Cool, yes?
You mentioned that you've outsourced pretty much everything here. I guess to ask a real basic question, then what are you bringing to this? Why couldn't I go out and do the same thing?
Cool, excellent question. So why couldn't anybody else do this? Because we've got extremely good customer base and customer feedback, and we use that and incorporate that into our product development. And that's what a lot of people don't do, because most of the competitors out there, it's really a race to the bottom. So there are companies out there that do basically outsource their manufacturing and their design, but they use the cheapest materials possible. It's very obvious and very easy to see that the engineers have never actually used a camera before because the equipment sucks. And realistically, they're not well received with the customers either, because they haven't got this driving force behind it. So we've got these customers who are using our equipment on set, showing it off to their friends, referring it around. We've got that advantage of first mover, as well as that idea that we are focusing on customer first. And that seems to be something that a lot of people have lost, and it seems to be a very big differentiator between a good and a bad competitor, which other people haven't really picked up on. I hope that answers the question.
One last question.
Yep.
Why can you use
so low price. It's like 4K and still at 1K. Is that still, does it make sense or message to the customer base that this whole project?
Yeah, cool. So the price, the question was about pricing and avoiding having something being too cheap. So a bit about the industry at the moment. Most people rent equipment mainly because it's so expensive to buy it. So offering, what we're basically trying to do and the way that we position our pricing is to offer an alternative to people to rent. So we can say, hey, you're renting this for 3 weeks, you could have bought this thing by now. And the way that we get around the quality issues is basically getting it in the hands of industry leaders and the people who are influential to those around them. So obviously people are going to say straight off the cuff, oh, this is really cheap. But if all we've got is all these other guys who are filmmakers like we have, like we had earlier, using this equipment and telling people, actually, this is really, really good stuff, we can really quickly avoid it because the industry really talks to each other. That is obviously going to be probably the biggest issue that we have with marketing is not actually selling the product to them because they want the product, but yeah, convincing them with a variety of referrals, reviews, videos, and even things like free rental, just to get them and let them know that, hey, this is actually pretty good stuff.
Awesome. Thanks
Cool.
very much, Josh.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Nathan, for the terrible introduction.
Our next team is set to bring Bitcoin to the masses. This is Asher from CoinJar.
Okay, so if you come to these events, you've probably heard me talk about Bitcoin, talk about all Bitcoin's benefits, and still think it's a terrible idea. I don't get it. Why would I use a digital currency not backed by a government? Well, chances are you already are. If you use everyday rewards points, flybys, or frequent flyer miles, you're already transacting in a decentralized digital currency. But now imagine if you could access those points anywhere to buy anything at any time. And that's just a bit of what Bitcoin is about. And that's why me and my co-founder really believe that Bitcoin is the future. My name's Asher. My background's in economics, and I used to write macroeconomic analysis for top Australian publications such as BRW. My co-founder, Ryan, created the world's first margin trading platform for Bitcoin. In a short span of 6 months, the platform transacted just over $40 million. He's today one of the few exits in the Bitcoin world, and he did this all before he turned 18. So we've got 2 products right now with CoinJar. One is CoinJar Filler. It's the entry point to the Bitcoin economy. Buy and sell Bitcoin easily and cheaply. Our next product is CoinJar Checkout, sort of like PayPal for Bitcoin. We believe in a future where everyone is a merchant, so this definitely falls into our plans. And that's one thing that we've really realized about our product. We want a consumer-facing product. We want to be in the consumer space. And that's because Bitcoin is in its infancy. It's so new, and it's a huge land grab for users right now. So being a consumer-facing product is the place to be. In the US, there are a couple of people who make consumer-facing products, but outside of the US, no big trustworthy brand names in the Bitcoin space. And that's why CoinJar is making a consumer-facing product. And that's one of the 2 things we've realized that's really important to make a top platform. First is a consumer-facing brand name. And the second thing you need to make a world-changing, leading platform is a self-propagating platform. That's why both our Filler and Checkout products are based off a developer-friendly API. We're trying to build the correct tools so the next generation of entrepreneurs and developers in the Bitcoin space, which could very well be any of you, can make cool Bitcoin products. I can announce for the first time that third-party products are coming out, and crowdfunding platform Possible will be accepting Bitcoin crowdfunding donations through us from next month. So again, the Bitcoin economy is just bigger than CoinJar. Everyone should come aboard, so we're trying to give you the best tools to do so. In our first 8 weeks of operation, we've close to 1,400 users, and that's just in Australia with close to no marketing at all. Our users love us. They call us the best Bitcoin experience around. We've got fans who help us with our social media. We have people overseas who we don't even service right now, writing to us stories about how Bitcoin is changing their life overseas. And these numbers speak for themselves. Last week was our best week yet, with $160,000 in trades. We've done over $500,000 in transactions, and this month, just for August, we're expecting to beat that number, doing over $500,000 in transactions. So that's CoinJar, and to see what people are raving about, go to coinjar.io and join the Bitcoin revolution. Thank you. Questions? Ben?
Just to elaborate on it, can you expand on the revenue streams? Because you've spoken now about the experience of a secondary market being trading of Bitcoins. Sure. Could you elaborate on the revenue streams?
Sure. So for our products, we take a small clip of it, about 3%. And that's our API is just to enable. So for instance, Possible, we're just taking a minimal 1% to help them manage their transactions.
And so when people transfer money in, do they pay commission at that point or on the way out or both?
Bitcoin to Bitcoin transactions are free, but what we do is when we enable a service, such as our merchant platform, that's where we value add, and that's where we take a small clip. Okay. Royce.
How do you secure the owners of the Bitcoin that's buy from you? How's that secured?
Sure. Yeah, security in Bitcoin was the question, and it is a really important question. What we do is every user that comes on board on the back end, we monitor their traffic. On the back end, we have what we call a cold storage solution. So the beauty of Bitcoin is it's a number, a key, and basically we can pull it off from the server, print it out on the paper, and keep it in places like a safe deposit box. So it's just as secure as cash or your valuables.
Is it insured if your site is hacked in any way? Are you insured?
Not at this moment.
Good question.
Yes.
I own some Bitcoins at the moment.
Sure.
And it was a slightly shady experience.
Yes.
It looks a lot better. But one thing I was allowed to do through whoever I used, which I can't remember, was go to a bank and pay it. So the first question is, I'm still not sure how I actually buy coins from you. And related to that, if I do have existing ones with somewhere else, how can I transfer them?
Sure. To buy Bitcoins from us, you can either go to a bank and make an over-the-counter deposit, or you can just use their net bank and transfer straight to a bank account, and we'll immediately credit you that money to buy Bitcoins. As for transferring in and out, we have a hosted wallet, so all you need is your Bitcoin address to transfer Bitcoin in and out, and there's no charge for that. Yes?
How do you validate an electronic funds transfer instantaneously when it might be an overnight settlement?
Well, that's part of our secret sauce. Happy to talk to you privately after that.
What's the Reserve Bank of Australia's position on Bitcoin going forward?
Okay, so that's an interesting question. The question was, what's the government's stance on Bitcoin? So there hasn't been an official ruling yet. As such, Bitcoin is still treated by the Reserve Bank and ASIC as a digital commodity as opposed to a currency. ATO has said if you try to avoid tax with Bitcoin, it's just like cash and we'll come after you. So we are actively monitoring what the RBA says about Bitcoin, and we're always happy to comply with any releases that they put out.
You mentioned that in the US, several companies doing Bitcoins have well-established brand names.
Correct.
What are you doing to establish your brand name?
Well, I mean, the interesting about Bitcoin, it's not top-down. It's bottom-up, saying people are not forcing other people to use Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a very grassroots movement where I'm interested in Bitcoin because of a philosophical thing, a political thing, or just a financial thing. So what we're doing is engaging Bitcoin users. I run the Melbourne Bitcoin Meetup. Some of you have attended it. Attend the next one. We work with anthropologists to try and figure out why people are using disruptive technologies. And so I think we are going out of our way to be part of the community, to engage them and build things that the community wants. So that's our approach to building a community-centric product.
Maybe just one last question.
Yeah, what's your responsibilities to get a financial services license or a banking license or some sort of clearinghouse license?
Sure. Yeah, so again, right now we don't really need to have a financial services license because the Reserve Bank and ASIC haven't ruled it as a currency yet. Although we're taking proactive steps, that's one of the things on the cards. And also a KYC system, ID system to ensure that, to decrease fraud and also to know our users so they don't commit bad stuff with Bitcoins. So thanks for your time, guys. CoinJar.io.
Now, our second last team for tonight. These teams have come from all over. Some of them have flown in from 3 different continents. The guys from OutTrippin. These guys actually came out of a large Australian financial firm. They were in the innovation department there, thinking outside the box. So it's no surprise when they came into Angelcube, they were inspired to create some change. Let's hear about that from David from eTaskr.
Yep, I'm David, as Nathan said, and this is eTaskr. This is our problem. This is the way we've worked since forever. We work in silos that are separated by the wall. That roadblocks collaboration. It completely inhibits job flexibility and freedom. It just means that you can't see anyone on the other side of the wall. The times, they're changing. People are walking out because they're sick of it. In fact, the majority of people are going to quit their jobs in the next 2 years. In an uncertain labour climate, we've seen people walk out voluntarily increasing from 2008. That's really alarming. This is all down to freedom and flexibility in the workforce. The 9 to 5 is over. We think we can provide that with eTaskr. It's essentially an odesk.com or an elance.com, bit private for an organisation. Here's us in our previous lives as corporate slaves. As you can see there, this is a real use case. This is when I joined this firm, and I was not utilised. I was ready to burst in there and show them what I could do, but I was at 45% utilisation. Pat, who was a cadet and was pretty much a veteran in the corporate space, was tearing out his already thinning hair because his team were getting slammed. He happened to need someone to do a copywriting task. I had those skills. He just couldn't see me because we were in different departments of the same company. With eTaskr, Pat can post his task to the entire organisation. Instead of pretending to look busy, I can actually get busy by jumping onto eTaskr.com and browsing the tasks that are being posted through my organisation worldwide. That would all be great, but we've added another little element that puts the right jobs in front of the right person. You don't want to be pinged all day if you're busy on your own task. So we've built into it a matching engine that puts the right tasks in front of the right people. So that when Pat needs someone to help him with copywriting, and I'm available and the system knows that I have those skills, it'll match us. And all of a sudden, a wall becomes a connection. And I'm now engaged, my utilization's up, Pat's hair is starting to grow back a little bit, and we've got a valuable new connection that we can tap into again and again and again. If you think this is a trivial problem, these are the numbers. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, lost productivity costs the Australian economy $305 billion a year. In the US, it's a $1 trillion sized problem. Those are 2 countries. This is the landscape. In the long-term side of things, you've got employee scheduling software from legacy players like IBM and Retain International. It's saturated. More manual solutions are done by resource managers, which are generally in most large enterprise organizations. In the short-term space, we haven't seen anything. The closest thing we've seen are really rudimentary manual workarounds. We thought we heard of something sophisticated called the time marketplace. That was a wall of Post-it notes of people declaring that they were available. The digital space is empty. That's what eTaskr is going to fill. We're talking to the leading players in banking, legal services, IT consultancy and professional services, but we're focused on the right partner, and that's why we're talking to Deloitte. Pete Williams, who almost single-handedly sold Yammer in Australia for 16 months, thinks we're onto a winner. He thinks this is the most valuable, the best value proposition of any enterprise software product for the last 20 years. Right now, we're looking for talent. We are tapping into our alumni network of consultants to find people that want to sell something back to these companies that kept them under the thumb for so long. We're also looking for sales reps and to expand our tech team. We're eTaskr and we're looking to change the way we work forever. Thanks. How do you take questions? Yep.
It's an interesting proposition, but as a department, if you were my employee in a department, how do I get credit for loaning you out? I'm paying your salary. I'd like to get something back from the other department.
Yeah, that's a good question. It was about basically profit sharing and cost sharing inside these large organizations. And so what we know about enterprise is that there's cost centers and there's profit centers for each of these departments. While I was sitting on my butt, I was costing my department money and I wasn't putting anything back into it. If I get pulled into another department to do work for them, the profit sharing basically goes on a time code and it gets charged back to my profit center. So I'm now helping a different department on a task that they're not equipped to complete on time, and that revenue will go back based on the time I spent on that task to my profit center. So I'm now paying back my bosses. Yeah, that's about it. How you going?
What's your pricing structure and how do you quantify the value that you're delivering to your organization?
So our value proposition is split between essentially one big thing, which is the productivity boost that we theorize will come by opening up a whole new channel of work. So it's basically a SaaS subscription model. At the moment, we're looking at early adopter programs with evangelistic companies that want to become our sales force because there is nothing else out there like this at the moment. And in the long run, yeah, it will become a SaaS subscription model with an enterprise license fee for the really big companies. It's very similar to Yammer or any other SaaS application.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Yeah, sure.
Presumably organisations, they have HR departments, they have culture. Silos are built for a particular reason because I think it's the most efficient way of getting people to do work.
Yep.
People are hired and fired. It takes 3 months to 6 months to educate them and get them into either company culture or
yep.
the tasks that are required. So in this highly dynamic, flexible environment, how do you accommodate the fact that they may need to get skilled up, or is it the fact that you're trying to make up skilled people into skilled roles that they can easily do?
Sure. So the question was about specific skill sets in specific silos, and if in fact that is a good idea to separate people into silos. We're building a disruptive program, but we're trying to deploy it very non-disruptively. So right now we're trying to plug into the existing landscape of how companies manage jobs and human resources. So right now we're seeing corporate strategies all around the world where they're preaching collaboration and becoming more well-rounded employees. And I identify this as a millennial. I don't think of myself as someone, I worked in management consultancy. I would never have thought of myself as staying in that career for 40 years like my dad did. I think most people these days think they can wear lots of hats. I've certainly learned that in a startup. So what we're basically allowing is a platform for them to connect. And what that does is it uncovers amazing new capabilities in your staff when you give them the freedom to work on what they want to. So our larger play is, yes, to change the way we work forever. Right now, we're trying not to be disruptive as we can. So we're deploying it as something to do with micro tasks. So if you've got a spare couple of hours because a client can't get a publication to you, that's when you can't find any work. So that's the use case that we're really exploiting at the moment.
David, as a management consultant myself, I value my spare time. Is there any reward or incentive for people to actually want to take more work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The question was about the motivation factor for reaching out and finding more work. Rajiv is obviously a massive slacker, and he's not going to get anywhere. In professional services, there's one number that matters, and that's your utilization. Coming up to your performance review, I was at 45%. It wasn't my fault, but my manager was just going to see that number as a huge target, basically, to reduce the headcount. For me, I was hungry for work, and I wanted to show them what I could do. For someone like Rajiv, who wants to just, kind of slack off a bit, it basically provides a platform to show him up. If everyone else is grabbing work from here and there, the whole thing is baked in with analytics. So the power of this is not only in the connections it makes, but in presenting that information through a dashboard. So we can gamify that dashboard, we can explore a lot of things, and we're going to do that with our enterprise partners. But the motivation factor is something we're really interested in. So yeah, things like gamifying that dashboard and just seeing what tasks people grabs, maybe they're better fitted for other departments, things like that.
So utilisation would be completely visible?
Yes, yeah. Based on permissions. Yeah, it's something we'll explore with our enterprise partners. Just another question over there.
How do you stop people from giving away work that they don't want to do and taking work that they're more interested in doing, like to other people?
Yeah, so that was just about, I guess, the visibility of palming off work you don't want to do and grabbing the good jobs. Again, it's that dashboard visibility. If you can see everything that's happening on eTaskr, and the way that we currently work and the way that we're plugging eTaskr into the existing way we work is basically just to fill those micro tasks. So your core competency is still the job that you do. If you want to drop something off, your manager or whoever above you will be able to see that and see that you're picking up something else. So yeah, it's all completely visible.
Just one question. It is
yep.
believed that, you know, all the tasks which people do are very much interchangeable, but every task has a unique skill set,
yep.
a knowledge and experience. Have you ever thought about, allocating those tasks which are really specific to eTaskr, which can be shared easily?
Yeah.
Run-of-the-mill type of tasks. Or you just sort of targeting all the tasks across the industry?
So we're taking a very lean startup approach to it. The question was about the really unique tasks that require really unique skill sets. To give you a little insight into the product, the tasks basically travel down 2 channels. One channel has doors shut through filters so that people that aren't relevant to the task won't see it. The other channel is basically tags that knock on the doors of people that are super relevant. So what this platform is allowing you to do for the first time in a large organization is find the true gurus in each area. If you're a tax R&D man and you need that guru and he might be living in South Africa, you post the task out, the matching engine will match the task to that person and it will find that guru. But in terms of our approach of discovering those kind of synergies, if I can use that dirty word, is a very lean startup approach. Is basically hypothesizing with our early adopter partners, testing and iterating. One last question? Yeah, just down here.
Having worked in a management consulting firm, how do you change that culture of not wanting to change anything as it is? How do you take this product and tell it to the director that he needs to get utilization of? Well, for everybody, when he's making, he's getting a return.
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's about the culture of these companies. The reason we're targeting professional services first is because of that high-performing culture. You are judged by your utilization. Managers are judged by their team's utilization. And at the end of the day, the partners only get paid based on how many hours you charge out. So the cultural aspect is probably the lowest hanging fruit for us in the entire enterprise space because there's such a strong motivation to find work and to get utilized. In terms of the cultural elements where people don't want to find work, at the very least, it's a platform to connect people globally and find, that dirty word, synergies between different departments and different people. The cultural things are exactly what we'll try out with the lean startup methodologies, and that is our core measure of success for eTaskr is adoption. So the more people that use it, the more valuable it will be. So we're going to drive everything through adoption, and we're just going to do that by testing and building and breaking. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, David. We've got one more team to go, guys. Hands up if you or someone that you know owns a Kindle. Any Kindle owners out there? Yeah, nice one. So there's a lot of ebooks being published every day. It's becoming quite a barrier to entry for private publishers to be able to get their books out there onto the international markets. Today we're going to hear from Ash from Tablo about how he's making that easier and helping revolutionise the self-publishing industry.
So hello, my name is Ashley, and this is a field that appears on just about everyone's bucket list. Publish a book. And if it's not on yours, I can pretty well guarantee that you know someone who is, has, or would love to publish a book. Well, from today onwards, when you think publishing, I certainly hope that you think Tablo. And indeed, thousands of authors from around the world already do. Because what we're enabling in the world of self-publishing is really quite remarkable. And this is what we're trying to solve, this one problem. Ebooks are very technical and authors are not. It took me 6 months to publish my own book on the iBook store. I'm an author, I've always loved this world of writing, but the process of creating and publishing an ebook was so convoluted and complex that I almost gave up trying. Here's a sort of expanded list of those problems. So formatting is a bitch. The books themselves are HTML files that have to be wrapped and validated in a certain way, and there are different book formats for different types of devices. So you need Mobi for the Kindle, you need EPUB for iPhone, and getting published is really tough. You need ISBNs, you need to be on certain databases, contracts with publishers, and everything takes a lot of time. But wouldn't it be awesome if you didn't have to worry about any of this? Wouldn't it be cool if you could create a book like you created a blog post in WordPress or a newsletter in MailChimp? Wouldn't it be awesome if the only thing you needed to know how to do in order to publish a book is write? Well, with Tablo, that's exactly what we're enabling. Now you can create your books in the cloud. You can type or paste in text, drop in images, style your book, add chapters, and when you click publish, you get published on some of the world's major bookstores, on Amazon, on the iBook store. We take your words and turn them into a beautiful ebook with rich typography and images, books that work on every major device. We make it possible for anyone to create and publish a book. And the only thing you need to know how to do is write. So the publishing market is worth more than 105 billion years, and we're increasingly seeing ebooks and self-publishing become a more integral part of the market. So Amazon reported a 70% year-over-year growth on ebook sales, and industry reports suggest that self-publishing will triple within the next 3 years. It's expected that 15 million books are going to be published this year. And this is our competitive landscape. We have two main competitors, Smashwords and BookBaby. Smashwords asks you to read a 100-page formatting guide, format your Word document, and then upload it to what's called the meat grinder. It will churn out a book, and eventually you'll get published. So you see, it's not very easy to use. The output is shockingly unreliable, but it is flexible, you have control, and it's a very scalable approach. With BookBaby, you pay a minimum of $200 and they just send out your file for conversion. So it's very easy to use. You just send the file away. The output is reliable because it's people doing the work, but it's not flexible. It takes 30 days to get published, and it's not a scalable solution. With Tablo, believe it or not, we have all 4 ticks, but our solution is incredibly easy to use. The output is always reliable, it's very flexible, you publish on your own terms, and it's very scalable. It's all in the cloud. And we've built something that allows us to expand and offer things that none of our competitors can offer. Things like social editing, being able to embed your book on blogs and collaborate with other writers, print-on-demand services, internal analytics, understanding how your readers engage with your books. We can do things that no one else can because we've built this in the cloud. So why do we know this approach is working? Well, we've already had over 500 books created within our first month, and this is from authors in more than 40 different countries. And our revenue matches this. This is per week, and last week we saw close to $5,000 in revenue after 6 weeks in operation. And our authors love us. This is a quote here from Andrew from the USA, a best-selling author. "I've never encountered anything that's this simple or clever." And a quote from The Age, Australia's biggest newspaper. "Tablo is the new face of publishing." So we believe that we're looking at a $100 million opportunity, and this isn't some fluffed figure. This is looking at the patterns of our competitors and the growth of the market. We are growing faster than our competitors did in their early days, and with our revenue model, we know we're looking at a $100 million opportunity within the next 4 years. So our vision is to enable, or rather, our ask is to raise $300,000 to build the team and to execute on this vision, the next stage of our software. And our vision is to enable millions of new authors to tick this box off their bucket list. So my name is Ashley, I'm from Tablo, and I'd love to hear your questions. Questions? Yes, sir.
Hi, Ash. It's really good to see you again.
Hello.
Good presentation. Have you thought any more about that aggregation or other pricing models as opposed to direct to consumer?
There are certainly other opportunities to go B2B. So universities, existing publishing houses do want to have their books converted and put onto libraries online. And we are talking to a couple of different bigger publishing companies at the moment about creating a more B2B solution and white labeling and offering these services direct to the publishing industry. So does that help? Wonderful. Yes, sir.
One of the big challenges for this is layout, especially things like graphics. How do you ensure that I get a reasonable layout across a lot of different platforms?
Okay, so the beauty of our platform is that you can soon pick your own template. So we work with the core structure of a book. You put in your content and we allow you to pick a layout and design at any stage throughout the design process, kind of like you would on MailChimp, kind of like you would on WordPress. So that's something that we do have the ability to offer to the author, and you can also drop in images that convert it into all different sizes and shapes to work on devices. So templates and the structure of a book, that's something that we're putting into the hands of the user. Yes, yeah? It's free to create an account. You can jump online and start creating your book today, and then you pay $99 to publish one book, and that includes everything from ISBNs to global distribution. Other questions? This corner's quiet. What have we got? Yes?
I guess I actually used to run a publishing company. Very early ebooks, they used Smashwords. They still owe me money as well because you have to sign up with the IRS, which is another confusion. Anyway, I know ebooks are slightly limited, but in terms of more complex layouts at the moment. But are you looking to anything in the future with like InDesign or Quark imports?
Not at the moment. At the moment, we're working with free-flowing EPUB books, so just text, rather than the fixed layout, more design-oriented books. So we're approaching a different market at the moment. Our focus is on fiction, it's on stories, and on the text, rather than on the graphical children's stories books. But you certainly can create your own book with InDesign or with Quark, publish it through Tablo, but our creation service is mainly for stories, mainly for text. Yes?
So, really based off the customer feedback, they love the product in terms of publishing. Of course, as authors, they want to make money. So after they start out books, people are doing that, what happens next? Do they sell them to Amazon, or which channels do they distribute?
Okay, so at the moment they're distributed through Amazon and through the iBook store. Barnes & Noble is coming soon. Authors do get sales information so they can see where their books are selling and how they're all working. And I do understand the question was about how do authors sell their books, and I suppose what is the next step from there. Soon we will be offering marketing packs and services to enable authors to reach their communities. And there are a couple of social features that we're looking at too. So for example, the ability to embed your sample book on your blog so your readers can flick through it straight within the browser, which will in turn boost conversions and allow you to share your book more prominently. There are opportunities for us to enable authors to sell more books, and that's something that we're looking at very closely.
Last question.
One more question, anyone here? Lucky last. Right here.
Are you producing a product which can apply to any platform? So you said $99 that gives you 2 platforms. If someone says they want to publish across 8 platforms or 10 platforms, what are your upsell points?
So I don't quite understand. Do you mean if they want to sell through more bookstore channels?
Precisely. So let's say someone has an idea they want to put it out through 4 or 5 or 10 different channels. What are your upsell points? So it's $99 will get you through 2 channels.
Yeah. We are looking to expand to more channels. So Barnes & Noble is coming soon. Kobo is the next step. And that will pretty much account for 90% of the ebook publishing market. So anyone who has published through the $99 package, their books will be expanded to the platforms that we add on in the future. So you're not confined just to 2. It's mainly the limitations of what we can offer as a publishing company, but that soon will grow.
Awesome. All good? Thanks very much for that. Thanks very much, guys. We just heard from all the teams from Angelcube 13. Thank you very much for coming and listening along. So you just heard 6 teams from Angelcube. So we're a sort of Y Combinator style incubator, 13-week program. If you can build a team and you have an awesome idea, then you can come along to Angelcube and we'll help you turn that into something really big. Alternatively, if you don't have the technical side of your team, I can plug one of our sponsors tonight. So Blue Chili will handle the technical side of that. So they'll partner with you and develop the technical side of your application so you can do biz dev, marketing, and focus on those sorts of things yourself. Alternatively, if you don't want any sort of guidance and you just need people to build it out, then you can use Alpha Station, who are our other sponsors tonight. That's 2 sponsor plugs right there. Yeah. Very, very handy. So yeah, by all means, basically what I'm saying is there's no excuse not to get involved in startups in Melbourne. One of the core missions from Angelcube has really been to build out the scene and see more of a natural growth phase for startups. There's never been a better time to get involved in this, and it's growing more and more every year, every month. So by all means, if you have an idea and you have a passion for doing this sort of stuff, reach out, get involved with the community, keep coming to events like this, come into co-working spaces, chat to your peers and get this sort of stuff done, because it really is a great opportunity, and you can speak to any one of the startups here tonight and they'll tell you how awesome it is, hopefully. So speaking about community, there's a bloke called Noah Kagan who is at the moment down the pub around the corner called the Post Office Hotel. He's from AppSumo, as well as a couple of other side businesses. He's a great community guy. So if you want to go down there and have a chat with Noah, we'd like to invite everyone here down to the Post Office Hotel. We'll get a conga line going down. It's just like to the end of Stewart Street and then across the road. Everyone's welcome. We've told them that they're coming. If you ask the guys here, then maybe they'll put some drinks behind the bar, but I doubt it. Yeah, so at the Post Office Hotel, you'll see Noah Kagan, as well as all the Angelcube team. So I guess as a follow-on from tonight, if you wanted to reach out and ask these teams any questions or help connect them with anyone from the community, we'd love for you to do that. It's all about sort of creating a better community, right? These guys wouldn't have the things that they have if it weren't for our awesome group of mentors, if it weren't for the awesome community in and around us. So any connections that you can make, any opportunities you can provide them, we'd love to see that happen. Last minute text message, nothing else to announce. So thanks very much for coming. We're Angelcube.